an old game warden, but an old game warden with a lot of folks like you in these counties that believe that we could do this. Then we came to this runoff. Still, not a chance. This is a Democrat seat. It'll always be a Democrat seat and will be held by a Democrat. So do what you need to do. We had the support of the governor, lieutenant governor, the RPT, a number of ART, from throughout the spectrum of the party. That's another one message I want to bring home, is that we had people in the spectrum of the party that would normally not even sit at the same table. We had that in some of our counties where feuds were so deep that they forgot the purpose of the party, to recruit and elect Republicans. But in this race, not only was it historic, I think it showed that all the groups, and whether it was in the counties or the precincts, or whether it was organizations throughout the spectrum of the party, what they agreed in totality was that we could take the seat. Now everyone believed. And when that happened on Tuesday night, with the work from people in this room and from throughout the state and across the spectrum of the Republican Party and its allies, we flipped the seat that had been Democrat for 139 years. But I'll touch on this one point. We had a lot of Democrats vote for us. And you know why? Because our message of Texans in Southwest Texas, Texans, we are conservatives. We are all conservatives. But where we can improve, and what we did and what we can, because it really isn't. It's just that we haven't gone there.
Yes. And
we need to. And we did. In Spanish, there's a saying that says, La cara hace milagros. FaceTime makes miracles. And it does. When you show up and you say, I'm just like you. I believe in the things that you do. I believe in God, and I believe in family, and I believe in country. And you know what? So do they. But we're not there to say, well, you know what? You're really, that is our position as Republicans. Oh, okay. Well, there you have it. And there we have it on Tuesday. We won the election. So I encourage you to get out in the communities that there's no such thing that's the way it is, because it's only the way it is because we don't work it. That's going to stay that way. Get out. Work together. This is proof that what we can do united from a united front. Let's recruit and elect Republicans. We have 48 days from now, we have probably one of the most critical elections in the history of our constitutional republic in these midterms. And we need to have everybody, especially Republicans, everyone show up. Show up, show up. And we will preserve this great state and our constitutional republic for generations. Thank you all very much. God bless you.
One of the many critical people who played a role in that is our own Travis County Chair and consultant Matt Makoviak. Please welcome Matt for this one.
Well, you can see what a great candidate we had in SD19, and it does start with having a great candidate. But I thought it might be useful, since we just spent 6 months every day working to try to flip the Senate district, to talk to you about what we learned and how maybe you can apply that in the races that you all care about out in the state. So this was a real challenge. This is a district that Hillary won by 12 points in November. It's also a district that Greg Abbott won by 0.1% 2 years before that. So it gives you an idea of what the range is. And there are a lot of districts across the state that are in kind of that range, that can go either direction based on what happens. So the first thing is, and Pete talked about this, unifying the Republican Party is critical. If you haven't done this in your races, you have to. The entire spectrum of the party has to be behind you. Conservatives, moderates, business, activists, right? Everybody. That's number one. Number two, we benefited, and this may not apply in your races, but the Democrats were divided. They were divided in this race. That was part of why we knew this was possible and why we developed a strategy. You know, we developed a very unique strategy in this district, and that was to, number one, not get killed in Bear County. Because if that happened, we had no path to victory, and Gallego only won Bear County with 53%. He really needed like 60%. So that's number one. Number two, we had to drive up our margins in the Republican areas, Medina County, Atascosa, his home county, Uvalde, and Frio. We did that. Medina County voted more in early voting in the second round than they did in the entirety of the first round. It's amazing. In the first round, we got 9,000 votes with $50,000. It can be done, folks. It can be done if you are efficient and focused and strategic. In the second round, because of the help of Lieutenant Governor Patrick, Governor Abbott, Texans for Lawsuit Reform, ART, a number of other good people, we ended up spending about $350,000, but we got 23,000 votes. So the Hispanic vote does not need to be ceded to the Democrats, folks. As Pete talked about, he went to all 17 counties, put 7,000 miles on his truck in the last 6 weeks alone. You have to go to where people are. And I'll tell you something right now, Hispanics are future Republicans. One of the reasons we know that is that the life issue was extremely effective for us. So you need to get in touch with Texas Right to Life, with Texas Alliance for Life, with these pro-life groups, because they want to take that message to the Hispanic community if you have large Hispanic populations in your suburban or South Texas areas. Look, what we just did is probably a lot tougher than almost anything you guys are involved in, right? The odds are so much against us, probably more so than they would be for any of you in the races that you care most about, that are going to determine the state house, the state senate, the congressional delegation. But it can be done. You need to have a strategy. You need to execute it. You need to work really, really hard for the next 45 days, right? We had a path to victory. We knew what it was. We made clear to our donor base and to our supporters what it was. We did 100,000 calls in 6 weeks. We did 30,000 doors in 6 weeks. We raised $350,000, and Pete traveled all 17 counties. That could not have been done without the commitment and determination of a number of people in this room that I want to recognize on Pete's behalf. I want to start with Marion Stanko and Stuart Knowlton and Marion Knowlton, those three. Each of them individually, but I know you have a lot of business today. But the Knowltons have been with Pete for 3 years. Marion Stanko and Monica killed it in Bear County and almost killed themselves. The state party was extraordinary. Spencer, thank you. Kyle, Sam, Rachel. Who have I left out? Jessica. I mean, the team was extraordinary. And I will tell you this, folks, the Abbott campaign and the Patrick campaign know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and I'm telling you right now, they benefited from helping us because they now know how to do turnout for this cycle with messaging and with targeting. So let me wrap up with this and just say we're delighted to elect the first Hispanic Republican to the state Senate in our state's history. We're delighted to be part of the largest number of Republicans in the state Senate in history, with 21 of 31, which is a super majority, two-thirds super majority. And now it's up to all of us. Develop your strategy, go out and execute it, right? You have to believe. If you don't believe, no one else will believe. And Pete believed for 3 years, and I believed for 6 months. And here we are. So thank you all very much.
Mr. McCloskey, you have an announcement. Or button on the bottom?
No, it's on the side.
Oh, it's on the side.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike McCloskey, Senate District 5. It must be Flora's Day today. I'm very honored. I just wanted to introduce, because she's here with us today, we have a great candidate for House District 52, who will be my next state representative, Cynthia Flores. I'd like to introduce you. So thanks for being with us tonight.
Guys, we said District 19 is a massive victory that we are appropriately celebrating and commemorating, and that was Tuesday and Wednesday. We got back to work on November. And so we can't miss celebrating the victories we have. We also cannot miss the giant challenges in front of us that we are up for if we continue to do what we have shown is the winning formula. Without objection, I appoint Nita Davidson, SC5, Fernando Garcia, SC14, and Sam Tripp Bryant. Sorry. Yeah, Fernando Trevino, SC14. And Sam Tripp Bryant, SC22, that's what I get for reading fast, to a proxy committee with Nita Davidson as chair. Hearing no objection, the proxy committee is appointed. Including myself and Vice Chair Alma Jackson, there are 64 members. Proxy committee, please go ahead and begin your work while our secretary, Will Robbins, calls the roll. Oh, yeah, if the proxy committee would, someone from the proxy committee would come grab the forms from the secretary, that would be great, thank you. And then, Secretary Will Robbins, if you would call the roll.
Good morning, everybody. I do apologize in advance if I butcher your name. I am bad with names, so just if I do pronounce it wrong, please correct me, and I'll have it down by the end of this 2-year term. Chairman James Dickey.
Present.
Vice Chair Alma Jackson.
Here.
National Committee Man Dr. Robin Armstrong.
Here.
National Committee Woman Tony Andeshiel.
Here.
Secretary Will Robbins is here. Parliamentarian Chris Howe.
Here.
Sergeant at Arms Nelda Epps. Treasurer Larry Hicks.
Here.
General Counsel Chris Gober. Assistant General Counsel Trey Traynor. Assistant General Counsel Ross Fisher. Assistant General Counsel Wade Emmer. Assistant General Counsel Art Martinez Guevara.
Here.
Chaplain Corey Tabor.
Here.
SD1 Robert Kessich.
Here.
Did I get that right?
That's it.
Okay. Sue Evenwell.
Here.
SD2 Jason Ross.
Here.
Jerry Fisher. SD3 Terry Holcomb.
Here.
Judy Pareda. SD4 Allison Winter. Walter West.
Right.
SD5 Nita Davidson. Oh yeah, she's here. Mike McCloskey.
Here.
SD6 Chris McDonald.
Here.
Don McDonald.
Here.
SD7 Mark Ramsey. Terry Leo. SD8 Susan Fisher. And who, can you give me your name and then spell it, please? Thank you. Thank you. Chuck Freilich.
Here.
SD9 Steve Atwell.
Here.
Ann Gebhardt.
Here.
Okay. SD10 Warren Norred. Susan Wright. SD11 JT Edwards. Tanya Robertson. SD12 David Halverson. Debbie Terry. SD13 Dawn Elliott.
Dr. Melinda Morris, proxy.
Thank you. Roy Morales.
Here.
SD14 Jan Duncan.
Here.
Fernando Trevino is here. SD15 Virgil Cruz.
Present.
Gail Stanner.
Here.
SD16 Randall Dunning.
Here.
Susan Fountain.
Here.
SD17 Marvin Cleave.
Here.
Kathleen Wall.
Here by proxy.
All right. SD18 Rick Figueroa.
Here by proxy.
Edie Sinclair.
Here.
SD19 Marion Knowlton.
Here.
Robert Cassius.
Here.
SD 20, Sam Dalton.
Here.
Hannah Chipman.
Here by proxy.
And your name?
Michael Wilson, MLCHALVERGSNA.
Thank you. SD 21, Terry Harper. Carla Sist. SD 22, Ashley Sellers. Sam Tripp Bryant. Yeah, that's right, proxy. SD 23, Stephen Broden.
Here by proxy.
Okay, and your name, sir?
Charles Henney, HGNSE.
Thank you. Leslie Thomas. SD 24, Jack Barcroft.
Here.
Summer Wise.
Here.
SD 25, Mark Durazio.
Here.
Linda Kinney.
Here.
SD 26, Michael Rain. Did I get that right? Not here. Marion Stenko.
Present.
SD 27, Morgan Graham.
Here by proxy.
And your name?
Thad Hassey, HASSE.
Thank you. James Zavaleta.
Here.
SD 28, Drew Bullard.
Here.
Neva Haney.
Here.
SD 29, Mark Dunham.
Whoop.
Barbara Carrasco.
Here by proxy.
SD 30, Britton Brooks.
Here.
Dion Starnes.
Here.
SD 31, Rhonda Lacey.
Here.
Tom Roller.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, there's a quorum.
Including myself and Vice Chair Alma Jackson, there are 64 members. There are 61 members in attendance at this time. A quorum is present. Please remember, if you have to leave for any reason, make sure you get a proxy form. Make sure that proxy form is submitted to the proxy committee, the secretary, so that we can make sure that we're covered.
And I have one.
And he has blank forms. Okay, at this time, RPT Organization Director Brandon Moore will take a moment to go over your packets.
Good morning. All right, if you guys are members or officers of the SREC, a voting member or officer of the SREC, you should have the cash availability and financial report in there. Everyone, including our guests, should have the resolutions committee report, the rules committee report, the advancement committee report, and I believe that should complete the packet. If you purchased a lunch ticket online or yesterday, you should also have your lunch ticket in your packet. If you have not yet purchased a lunch ticket, you can do that outside of the registration table today. We're having a taco bar. If you guys have any questions, and also I would must apologize to Fernando and to the chairman. That was my error in putting that in there with the wrong name. My apologies.
Okay, a quick scheduling note. Governor Abbott has graciously again invited the SREC to a Christmas reception that coincides with the fourth quarter SREC meeting. We are working to get the exact date and time nailed down. If it ends up being late Saturday afternoon or evening, it might rush us through business on that Saturday. We are therefore considering beginning the SREC meeting that Friday. And make sure that's available on your schedule. Sorry, proxy committee, if you would go ahead and give the report, Anita.
Nita Davidson, SD5. All the proxies were in order. Do you need to note on a number?
Will the other count?
Seven.
7.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, for your service on that. And again, if you need to leave, Secretary Will Robbins has the proxy forms, and please both notify Nita Davidson of the proxy committee as well as Secretary. Okay, the draft minutes from the organizational meeting were distributed by email on September 10th and September 20th. The draft minutes from the special meeting were distributed by email on the 20th. Are there any corrections to the minutes for the organizational meeting? Okay, without objection, the minutes for the organizational meeting are adopted. Are there any corrections to the minutes for the special meeting? Okay, without objection, the minutes for the special meeting are adopted. This agenda we've recommended as printed and distributed. Includes things in an order meant to keep our business early in the meeting. This order requires a motion and a vote to adopt. Is there a motion to modify our order of business to use the order on the distributed agenda and take up the listed special orders after their adoption? We've got a motion. Marvin Cleed, SD 17. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Wonderful. So there's a motion and a second. All in favor of taking up our business today in accordance with the agenda as distributed, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Our agenda is amended to follow the order in the printed agenda. Without objection, and for this meeting only, we'll use the same rules for electronic voting that we used at the special SREC meeting in August. We're waiting on a recommendation from the Rules Committee for any changes so that we can have a standing rule moving forward on this. If we need to take a minute and put the rules up on the projector, we can. The main thing to keep in mind is don't take the devices out of the room. Okay? Seeing no objection, we will use the same rules for electronic voting that we used at the special meeting in August. Okay, per the agenda, we will now have the report of the treasurer. Please join me in welcoming Larry Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Well, your packets today include the most recent cash availability report, which was as of Thursday, just the day before yesterday. And that shows that after all bills were paid, the RPT has over $1.8 million in its combined bank accounts. As you know, a significant part of that cash is in restricted accounts that are in accounts that are restricted for various specific purposes, such as the primary, Victory, CRC, and the state convention. The remainder, the part that is not restricted, is available for general operating purposes, and that amount is $593,000. This balance, of course, fluctuates from day to day and month to month, but it has been in the $500,000 to $600,000 range over the last several months. Through August 31, the first 8 months of 2018, net fundraising income, and this is available for operating purposes, has amounted to approximately $967,000. Although income from events has lagged below budget, and an event featuring Senator Cornyn scheduled for later this month is expected to bring this item in line with budget as well. The income numbers I mentioned compared to approximately $952,000 of operating expenses incurred for that same period of time. This is a monthly average of $119,000 of operating expenses compared to average monthly income of $121,000. Both are right in line with the operating budget. The monthly average income is the highest since 2012, 6 years ago. Convention finances were based on an estimate of $1,534,000, which is in line with the amount raised for the 2016 convention. Actual cost of the convention is in excess of $1.6 million. Income from fees, events, sponsorships, and other fundraising activity has covered most, but not all of this cost. The event is over, but the accounting for it is not. Although all known expenses related to the convention have been paid, some adjustments are still being processed, and the numbers are still changing a little bit. Most of the almost $55,000 remaining in the restricted convention accounts will be returned to the operating accounts, with a smaller balance left to keep the accounts open for the 2020 convention. The victory accounts currently have a balance of just over $650,000, and expenses of nearly $250,000 have already been made. So doing the math on that, we have raised almost $900,000 of money for victory today. And finally, the campaign finance reports have all been filed and have been filed timely. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for the treasurer?
Mr. Chairman, Mike McCloskey, Senate District 5. I just have one question for the treasurer, and I appreciate the fact that you shared with us that our expenses are about $119,000 per month and our income is about $121,000 per month. Do we have more or less full-time employees than we had, say, at the beginning of 2018? Do you know that?
Yeah, that would be a question the treasurer.
I didn't know if you know based on payroll or whatever, if you would have that information.
Okay, next up is the report of the audit committee. Tom Roller, if you could please come give the report. Till 10? All right, we're doing a good job of staying ahead of expectations. Excellent. Then without objection, we will go ahead and move on to the officer reports. I do not see the general counsel present. Given that, we'll move on to the national committee woman.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Gentiles, Mr. Parliamentary Inquiry.
Yes, sir.
Besides my Stevie Wonder shades. With regards to the audit report, I didn't hear the exchange from chairman to you.
Oh, yes. The auditors have been planning on being here at 10. Since we're running ahead, we're going to go ahead and do a couple other things and come back to the audit report without objection.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Please welcome National Committee Woman Tony Ann DeShield.
Are you going to change the slides a little bit? Yes. Thank you. Please, right?
Basil.
Basil. I thought I'd
Close
get it
enough.
right. I told you I might mess it up. Anyway, it's morning. Wow, this is great. And ahead of schedule too. So let's go to the next slide. I have about 4 slides, but I always have, because being on the budget committee.
This is all being live streamed, you really need to.
I'm sorry. I know it's hard to stay in one spot. That's
At least stay on.
Can I do mine?
Sure.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, if you've ever seen me speak, it's very rare I can stay behind a podium. And so so anyway, let's get going here. So on the, being on the budget committee, I always like to be able to brag on what we're doing. and what the RNC is doing, and the job that is being done, and it is pretty incredible. This gives you a summary. Actually, I got, and maybe you did too, but I got this email yesterday. I think what's impressive here is that if you look at the RNC's debt is 0, and that if you look at the DNC's debt, it is $7.7 million. We are outraising the Democrats, not just at the RNC, but if you combine all of us together, all of the parties, the RNC, the NRC, SC, all those acronyms, we have 590. You know, people are saying, oh, the Dems are raising more for the committees and so on. We're almost $100,000 ahead. Oh, I think that's million. Yeah, sorry, that's a big deal. So let's go to that next slide, and I want to brag on what our chairwoman is doing, and that is Rana. She has done an incredible job of going out there and getting and raising the money. I mean, she is everywhere. She comes to Texas. If you follow her, she's all across the states all the time, making connections, bringing in money. But it's not just staying in DC. It is going out, and it is going into 28 states. If you see there, that's 540 plus staff, paid staff, and we are benefiting from that too. And also, we have 22,800 RLI fellows being trained. So it's not just about keeping the staff that we have and keeping them moving. We're bringing in volunteers, and we're bringing them up so we have staff that are well trained in the future. We have tens of thousands, that's all of us and all of our friends, volunteers that are being recruited, and we saw that benefit as we saw that on Tuesday with Peter Flores. And then you look down there, 38 million. I mean, and a lot of my friends are like, really? Are a lot of calls like that in Texas? I said, I can't even tell you. We add to that 38 million by those phone calls, and we saw the success. You heard it from Matt. You heard it from Pete Flores. It is important that we continue to do that, but not just here, as we well know in Texas. It is being done across the United States. And that is important because we want to keep the House and we want to build in the Senate. And it's looking good. I can say this, and as Rana has, am I getting close? Where's my timekeeper? As we're getting closer to the election, we are doing everything possible to get the vote out. And that's what this is about, is getting the vote out. So these we all contribute to, everyone. Marion, what you guys did for Peter was absolutely incredible. I mean, it was awesome. So that's on the national level, the news by the numbers. But now let me just talk a few minutes or a minute about what we've been working on, and I've been working on with many people, and want to make sure you know. Could you go to the next slide, please? And that is, let me make sure. Okay, so I thought it was in a different color, but I'm hoping that you can see it. There are 7, I think that's right. There's one that's, okay, 6 up there. Well, we have another one in the works right now. But these are rallies, women rallies for congressmen. And we, as you can see, we have Culberson. Oh, yesterday we had Wilherd Marion was there at that one. And we ended up having, in a little tiny deli, and if you're ever in San Antonio and need a good place, go to Gino's Deli. And we were there, and it was over 50 people that showed up. But it wasn't just women. So I want to make sure you guys know, men can come to these women rallies also. The more people we get there, the more votes we get out. But our focus has been, we want people to know women are standing behind these congressmen. These are a number of them that have been challenged and are being focus on the national level. And so you have, Wills was wonderful yesterday. Congressman Carter, we have two, one in Williamson, one in Bell County. And if you guys want more information, I've been sending it out in TAD Talks, but I'd be more than happy to get it to you. We are also doing one for Chip Roy and bringing in Senator Donna Campbell, Culberson, and then also we have Sessions. That's really kind of fun. That one is up in Dallas, and that's going to be at a place where they collect diapers. So we're putting a nice little twist to it. Guys, please invite gentlemen. All of you gentlemen are welcome. We want more people there. So my challenge to you as I end that last slide, please. The challenge is, I gave it to you at the convention, and I'm giving it to you now, 20. Not the friends sitting next to you, not all your buddies in the Republican clubs. It's the new people. ID 20 voters. Don't say, oh, I'm going to do it. And most of you probably will, but get other people to do it. Write down the names. ID them. Cultivate them. Get the not political junkies. We need, so let's do that. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. What's that? Do you want the first slide that had the numbers? Can you go back to the first slide, please? Do you want this? Are you going to stand? Okay. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good when it comes up.
I'd send you if you want if you want it, I'd send it to you.
Okay, thanks.
And for the National Committee Man Report, Dr. Robert Armstrong. Just for the sake of time. So, guys, we are in a series. I'm going to cram about 40-minute presentation into 5 minutes. So y'all will listen very, very quickly. I would say all right. All right, guys. So this election, this midterm, is more about. It's not just about 2018. It's also about 20 and 24 and 26 and on and on. We've got to keep that in mind. This is an election about contrast. And I think the most powerful thing that we can do is contrast who we are and contrast who the Democrats are. Look at what's happened over the last year and a half. I'm going to go through some stats here very, very quickly, but I think we have to rehearse them and remember them and go over them because we as elephants have really bad memories. And so we tend to focus on a lot of negative things going on, but man, there's a lot positive going on. The economy is growing. Over 4 million jobs created, guys. 4 million jobs. President Trump's pro-growth policies have fostered a roaring economy, driven down the unemployment rate. African-American unemployment rate, lowest in history since it's been recorded. Hispanic unemployment rate, lowest in history since it's been reported. Guys, you all have to say that about 1 million times this election cycle. Well, we have to get that message out. Unemployment rate is down for all groups, down for Asian Americans as well. We've had significance. Small business optimism remains historically high. I've got a job count number here where I go through all the jobs that have been created over the last year and a half. Every month, October 2017, 271,000 jobs. Goes on and on, 216,000, 175,000 jobs created, 324,000 jobs created. Guys, we have had significant success. 155,965 people are employed in the United States of America. That's a record. We've never had that many people employed. Unemployment rate down to 3.9%. Social issues where President Trump has been successful. Moving our embassy to Israel. Moving our embassy to Jerusalem. Our embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. Significant promise that has been made over and over and over, but it's never been done. That was done in about 6 months. There's a story behind that I can tell you later. Come to some of my talks across the state and you'll hear that story. Appointed Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. Announced Brett Kavanaugh as a second Supreme Court pick. Guys, that Kavanaugh and stuff that's going on there is playing to our favor. It's motivating our base. We have to make sure that we continue to get the message out that liberals are crazy. I don't think we have to really argue that point. I think people are seeing that full force now. President Trump has fought to end the Johnson Amendment. He has authorized rule changes for Title X funding, which bans clinics from receiving funding that provide abortions. He's expanded a ban on U.S. funding to foreign organizations that promote abortions. Propose a new criterion for federal family planning grants that would favor applicants who promote abstinence. Appointed a record number of conservative federal appellate and district court judges. Guys, this is happening he has appointed a record number of federal appellate and district court judges all over the United States, which is going to have a significant impact over the next generation. The leader of the Susan B. Anthony list, which is a conservative organization, said that President Trump has been, by his policies, the most pro-life president that we have ever had. And those are people who are pro-life who are saying that. Foreign policy, destroyed ISIS, empowering our commanders to defeat ISIS. Iran is about to, guys, there's a movement in Iran right now that is potentially going to overthrow that government there, and you don't hear that in the news at all. It's because of the sanctions that were renewed on Iran and getting us out of the deal that Obama passed. Crippling sanctions are thwarting the country's ability to survive, and there's a revolution taking place there now. What's happening in North Korea, you see what's happening there as well. We are gaining respect around the world, in the Middle East, with the Chinese government. We're gaining respect. There's a lot going on. Contrast this to what the Democrats are doing, guys. They want to impeach our president. They want to raise taxes on us. They want to abolish ICE, Immigration and Customs Reform. They are now actively calling themselves socialists, so they're not denying it anymore. We've known that for a long time, but they're now agreeing with us. I can tell you guys, this is a significant opportunity for us. It's an election of contrast. Whenever we have an election of contrast, it is our opportunity to be able to go out and engage other voters. One thing that's happening across the United States now is I know that Tony Ann gave a lot of information on what the RNC is doing. RNC's raised $243 million and is engaging voters like never before, engaging African American voters. Do you know that President Trump's approval rating in the African American community is almost 30%, 29%? Guys, that is significant. Despite everything you see in the media, despite everything you see that's telling people that this president is this and that, he has a 30% approval rating in the African American community. And you would not hear that in the news either. Guys, this is an opportunity to provide contrast ourselves with the Democrats. Go out and tell your Hispanic friends, your African American friends, your Caucasian friends, your independent friends, tell them that, guys, we are different from the Democrats. They are making that very, very clear. In these midterm elections, there's 51 Senate Republicans, United States Senate Republicans, 49 Democrats. The Democrats are defending 25 seats. We should be able to pick up seats in the Senate. 10 of those seats are in districts where President Trump won by 10 percentage points or more. The House is vulnerable this time. We've got some House seats. I love those districts, and so we have to defend those districts. Those happen to be districts where she's having woman rallies for them, and that's very appropriate, so please attend those. We've got 10 state House seats in Texas that Hillary Clinton won as well. We have to defend Matt Rinaldi's seat. We have to defend some of these conservative Republican legislators who were in districts that Clinton won. We have a lot of work to do, guys, over the next 45 days or so. A lot of work to do. We have to protect our senators. We have to protect, I know Don Huffines is concerned about his district in Dallas. We've got to protect our Joan Huffman down in SD 17 in Fort Bend County. And so there's a lot of districts that are really, Connie Burton in Tarrant County also is a district that we're concerned about. There's a lot of work to do, guys, that we have to do, but it's an opportunity for us to grow our party, not just to keep the same seats that we have, but also to grow. It's a great opportunity because we can contrast ourselves clearly with the Democrats. And make sure y'all get that message out. That is vital now that we get that message out because we have a tremendous opportunity to do that, and we just have to do it. So work hard. I'm traveling around the state right now. I was in Rockport recently. I'll be in in Hidalgo County this next week. I'll be in the Kingwood area next week as well. So I'm speaking all across the state, and that's the message that I'm sending in this 40-minute talk, just telling people that we have tremendous opportunities. There's great successes. Be encouraged. There's a lot of positive things that are going on. Make sure that we get that message out, and we will win in November. We will keep these seats, and we will grow our majorities in the House and the Senate nationally and statewide. Thank you very much.
Okay, now please welcome our Vice Chair, Alma Jackson.
I'm not too tall. Well, both our committee man and our committee woman gave the same message I have. It's positive, it's great. I'm a people person. I've been traveling across Texas, different counties, different precincts. I'm talking to a lot of people, clubs, young people. And everywhere I go, the enthusiasm is very up. It's great. And that sweet victory with Pete Flores recently, last week, wow. But that doesn't mean we stop. We don't have it. We're not there yet. We've got a ways to go, but the encouragement is up. I'm here to tell you, as I meet so many different people across the state, and I ask them how long you've been involved, many of them have told me, I just got involved. President Trump is encouraging, and that just makes my day, because I'm encouraged listening to them. It makes me want to get out and do even more so. So I encourage all of y'all to keep it up. Continue to pray for our candidates, for our country, and may we show them that we are a force to be reckoned with, and we never give up. I'll tell you, I met a 14-year-old on the night that Pete Flores was elected. That kid, he's the biggest Republican in Bexar County, I believe, and I'm going to mentor him. I've got his phone number, and I'm going to get him included and try to get him, well, I'll talk about engagement later. But I'm just very excited. Thank you all. You see the red eyes in I've got horrific allergies, and Lori back there told me, well, red is the new wave. Just glad they're not black or blue. But keep it up. We need each one in this room to continue your good work. We need to bring in more volunteers. That election proved it. I saw those volunteers work their tails off. Monica, Marion Knowlton, Stuart Knowlton, Marion Stanko. There were many, many volunteers, and it was, I've never seen anything like that. And it encourages me. And I just pray that each of you stay very encouraged to continue this, because we can't stop. There's too much to lose. God bless you all.
The audit firm is now here, so if we could hear from the audit report.
It's not the whole firm. It's one of them. This is Jeremy Myers, the senior audit manager for Ashley Associates. And before Jeremy goes over the audit for us, I'd like to recognize our committee members who are Chuck Brown, right down here, and Jason Ross, right there. And also, in addition, our committee determined that we wanted to add 2 ex officio members. So we asked Tony Ann Steele and Robin Armstrong to be a part of our committee. And they are the ones, by the way, for the ones that aren't aware, that appoint the audit committee. This is not done by the chairman, and it's always done by the RNC committee man, committee woman. So that's who appointed the audit committee. We had a couple of meetings. We had a lot of input before we had those meetings. And it was determined that rather than do a full interim audit, which would be, and Jeremy probably go over some of this, a sampling of all the income and expense accounts, just like we do at the end of every year. The concerns were pretty specific, the questions were pretty specific, and so there are different kinds of audits. And so we worked on the process of an agreed upon procedures audit, which we were able to say these are the areas of concern that we want to address. And several reasons. One is we're going to do everything at the end of the year. We're going to have a complete audit every year, just like we always do. So it would be repetitive and expensive. So we're gonna have the complete audit anyway, and this, for, just so you remember, the chairman made the motion at our meeting after the convention to do this, and the only reason that we're doing this is because the financial director stepped down publicly, and because of the concerns of that, and that people, you know, just because she was the financial director, it was determined that it would be prudent to do this. So that's why we're doing it. It's not an impropriety issue, anything like that. It's just prudence and to let people know where we're at. So with that, I'd like to introduce Jeremy Myers, and he's going to go over the audit with us. Thank you. Oh, one other thing. I thought we were going to have copies here, but Kyle is going to email us to everyone of the audit, because it's really not very long, but he's going to email everyone the copies. So thank you all.
All right, thank you, everybody. So as Tom mentioned, we didn't do a full-blown audit. We did an agreed-upon procedures audit in which we were asked to do 3 separate procedures. We were asked to look at the cash availability reports that were presented from January, April, and June here at the SREC meetings, compare those to the accounting records. We were also asked to make sure that all money and funds spent for the convention by non-convention funds were transferred back from the convention to cover those funds. And then we also looked at all revenue transactions from January 1 through June 30th of 2018. So during those 3 procedures, all the cash availability reports tied back to the accounting records 100%. We did note that in the April report, it was reported that one of the bank accounts was only reported at $95. It had 96 and 20 cents in it. So as I mentioned before, this is not a full-blown audit, and I think I kind of covered this a little bit last month. We don't deal with the concept of materiality in this type of procedure. So if there's a variance of a penny, I have to tell you about it. So there was a variance of $1.20. There was a positive variance. So that was really the only finding we had, is that there was $1.20 more than was reported. We did note that I think there was $140,000 paid for convention-related expenses, not in the convention funds. All those were transferred back from the convention funds to those other RPT funds in 2 installments, one in January and one in June. So all funds were paid back as they should have been. The third procedure I mentioned is that we looked at all revenue transactions from January 1st through June 30th. The population of those transactions totaled over $3.6 million. We sampled 176 transactions for a total of $2.2 million. Everything was 100% reported properly, hit the bank. We found no errors at all in that sample. And those are the procedures we were asked to do. So, we did, the revenue side of it is the closest procedure we would have done for an audit. And so that'll kind of help us at year end, because we can use that work again. But, everything was just fine. So based on these procedures performed, we don't have any concerns of the outgoing finance director. And I know that we've worked with John for a few years now. John Halby is the new finance director, and he's been doing a great job for you guys. So we expect that to continue. Thank y'all very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Question, Gail Stanart, Point of Inquiry, SD 15. The vote that we took at the organizational committee meeting of the SREC we voted to initiate this audit.
Correct.
Was the type of audit that we requested to be done, was that what was done, and if not, why not?
That's exactly what was done. The vote was to establish an audit committee and to charge that audit committee with performing an audit that would either verify or disprove the claims made during the campaign. The audit committee was appointed by the National Committee Man and National Committee Woman, as it always is. The audit committee members met and decided exactly what the charge would be to the audit firm. Their charge to the audit firm, which you guys will all get a copy of, was to directly refute or prove the claims made during the campaign. The claims made during the campaign were, there have been false reporting of funds raised, false reporting of expenses, and funds were used to pay for the campaign, for the convention that were not in fact from the convention fundraiser. And therefore, their charges were for the audit firm to prove or disprove those three claims. And that is exactly what you heard. Every one of those three claims was disproved.
Thank you, I really appreciate the review.
Bill, one other thing, when we did this, we looked at really a lot of things that, a lot of concerns were not auditable concerns. I mean, there were policy questions and that sort of thing. And honestly, if we just requested a full interim audit, it would have been ranked, we wouldn't have had the answers. It would have just been just like, we would not, see, this gave us the answer. Plus, instead of $17,000, it was $4,000.
And given that just in the first quarter of this year, we had already paid $17,000 for a full audit of all last year, including the first 7 months of my term, I'm very glad that the firm worked with us to structure an audit that really got us the answers we needed and saved us a lot of money in the bargain. Thank you. Okay, still not seeing the general counsel, move to the chairman's report. So it's been a jam-packed time since our August meeting. Let's start with the race that has been sending shockwaves into Democrat circles, the Flores victory. You all had a chance to meet him this morning and hear from him this morning. There were so many people who brought him to victory this past week. I want to share a couple of particular ways that the RPT was involved uniquely in doing so. The first and most visible and biggest way that the RPT was involved, we singularly took the lead in exposing the residency hypocrisy and false claim of Pete Gallego. He said he lived in the district, and in fact Texas law requires that you live in the district to run for Senate. But his home loan documents and other financial records told the real story that he was not at all a resident of SC19. When we brought this in court, the media paid attention. And the effort helped set the narrative and helped set some of the contrast for the campaign. This push on his residency and frankly his potential bank fraud in claiming that he was a resident of Travis County and would stay a resident of Travis County while his lawyers swore in court that he is a resident of Alpine and lived with his mom, as opposed to his wife and children, his wife and son who live in Travis County. That push undoubtedly, well, we know it yielded tens of thousands of dollars of earned media on the issue and absolutely helped make the message that the last thing Senate District 19 needed was another lying, law-breaking Democrat senator.
That's right.
We dedicated a staff member particularly to that campaign. A presence on the ground in the district, working hand to hand on a daily basis, recruiting volunteers, doing the door knocking, doing the phone banking, working with the Flores campaign, training, all of the things that we needed to do. And not at all least, our data director, Spencer Davis, was a pivotal point of contact for the up-to-the-minute data management, data collection, and data distribution, all the way up to and including Election Day. I saw him still working hard at the victory party in San Antonio that night. Our Get Out the Vote effort used proven methods of phone banking and block walking with our data, and included recruiting volunteers in the district and throughout Texas to help call into Senate District 19 to help turn out the vote. Block walking thousands of homes, making thousands of phone calls. The field effort was nimble and able to respond to the immediate needs of the campaign throughout the race and even on election day. We're honored to join the hundreds of people who worked on this campaign to see this historic victory. So you heard from Larry this morning about our financial position. We got $600,000 in unrestricted funds, sorry, $593,000. Don't ever want anybody to accuse me of overstating our position. In unrestricted funds. We have funds in the convention account. We have funds, we have hundreds of thousands of dollars in victory, even though we have already mailed 800,000 homes, 1 million voters, the absentee ballot voter mailer that is the most critical victory effort every single election. We already have it out with the best data and the best effort and the most efficient effort we have had. I am so excited that our fundraising continues to thrive, and donors from across the state are contributing to our party to help us keep operating at full steam to win in November. Brandon, can you show the exhibit? You will all get a copy of this in the email, so you see it as well. But I want to point out a couple of things here. What you see is the last 8 years and our current budget of fundraising by every single category for our party. Let's start at the Grassroots Club. Grassroots Club's 2018 year-to-date monthly average, including the summer doldrums. Every one of these includes what is historically our worst period, and what does not include our fourth quarter period, which is typically a very, very good period for us. Our average monthly fundraise from Grassroots Club is not only the highest it has ever been, it is the highest it has ever been by over 50% average monthly. Historically, we lose a lot of Grassroots Club members after the convention. When I joined as chair in July of 2017, we had 850 Grassroots Club members. We can and will have more. As of this moment, we have 1,600 Grassroots Club members. Let's look at email fundraising. Obviously, back early in this decade, email fundraising wasn't a thing. But again, this year, our monthly average is the highest it has ever been. And that 2016 monthly average, which is the only other monthly average that's above $3,000, above $3,100, the vast majority of that fundraising came in early in the 2016 presidential campaign, when there was an email fundraiser that gave you the chance to win a ticket to the Houston presidential debate that featured Senator Cruz and President Trump. Barring that lift, This year's monthly average in a non-presidential year is double the next best year in the last 8. Our team is focusing on every cylinder. Internet fundraising. Now, internet fundraising, you'll notice 2012 was a better year. 2012, there was a full-time dedicated firm that was paid to do the internet fundraising. We are on our way. Our last few months have been exceptional. And if we continue the pace of the last 3 or 4 months, we will end this year with the best internet fundraising we have ever had. Direct mail is a fun one. It's an interesting one. But again, you see the best numbers since 2012. We are firing on all cylinders. Telemarketing, you see, actually 2016, the presidential year, was a good year. And we haven't quite reached that peak. But again, if we continue on the pace that we've had for the last couple of months, throughout the remainder of this, and election years, as you can see, tend to be better years, we've got a chance to beat that as well. And in major donors, you can see it's not the best year yet in the last few. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. We actually have a big fundraiser coming up on Friday with Senator Cornyn. Those of you who joined us at the debate watching party last night, Senator Cornyn showed up in person to cheer on Senator Cruz and to be with us for that victory. His support for the party has been amazing. His team is doing a great job helping us turn out event and donor fundraisers for that. And event donors. Last year was an unbelievable year, a fantastic year for events. Now there's 2 reasons for that. One, legislative years are always the best years for us because in the middle of the legislative session, we hold a fundraising event that features every statewide and a whole bunch of state reps and a whole bunch of senators, and those are always fantastic. But we actually also held a November fundraiser last year that by itself raised over $100,000. So I'm looking forward to us firing back up our event functions. And if you look at the total, we not only are dramatically above what we had to do for our core budget, all of the extra things that we've been doing and the excellent work we have been doing fundraising make for the best year fundraising for the party since 2012, which was a presidential year. And the second best year in the last 6 was last year, led by the last 7 months of last year. We are firing on all cylinders when it comes to fundraising. There is more we can do, and there is more we will do. But there has been a lot of, to quote the president, fake news out there. I'm glad that you now, between the treasurer's report, the audit report, and these details, have the facts that we not only have the strongest balance we have had in a long, long time, we are doing everything we must do every single month, even in the middle of the summer, to make sure that we have the resources necessary, not just to do what we must, like that victory mailer, but all of the extra things that we can and should be doing. You know, putting the victory absentee ballot mailer out for competitive bid saved us over $100,000 on that effort alone. That savings we can now plow into doing amazing things like voter registration for the new movers that we know have come into Texas. We can put it into some of the engagement efforts and other things we want to do. And we're working closely with the victory team. They are digging in to every possible thing we can do, since we've covered the base already and we have hundreds of thousands of dollars still in the account, everything else we can and must do to make us win in November. We've been working with campaigns of every size. We have weekly meetings with the governor's staff, with the senator's staff. We are making sure that we are doing complementary efforts, that efforts are not wasted, that the things that only we as a party can do, that we are doing and we are maximizing. You know, Stephen Wong, our political director, he's got an election day 96-hour turnout program that he's organizing. You're going to be seeing that. You'll see those details as they're finalized. This is going to be a great opportunity for volunteers in your area to parachute into competitive hotspots across the state and push out voters for Republican candidates. This election could be the mirror image of 2010. When we were worked up, we were passionate and devoted and wanted to make sure that President Obama's policies did not continue, and the Democrats were caught sleeping. It could be a mirror image of that. But it does not have to be. And it is up to us to make sure that it is not. And we have been raising the funds, organizing the effort, coordinating with campaigns at the RPT level. We need every one of you and every one of our county chairs and every one of our precinct chairs making sure that we don't let that happen, especially in Texas. I'm grateful for the audit firm. I'm grateful for the audit committee for making sure that the answers to the questions that were raised during the campaign have been answered and have been answered with full clarity. Because we need to be moving forward. And to that end, we are working on filling every county chair vacancy. And I've appointed Ward County Valerie Sanders as temporary county chair for Ward County, where there is no organization at all. I will entertain a motion to ratify this appointment.
Mr. Chairman, JTO was SD11, move approval.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. We have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. And of course there is no opposition. She is unanimously approved. Thank you all very much.
Would it be possible for us to get a copy of these?
Yeah,
numbers
sorry, I
that you
thought I
have?
said that. You will get an email copy of that. Every one of you will get an email copy of it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Because Brandon's gonna make sure that happens, because he does that. By the way, can we get a round of applause for Brandon and the rest of the staff? When I was first elected, I knew that there was little more important than to make sure that the county chairs and the SREC were empowered and prepared and supported in the way you need to be so that you can do your job as effectively as possible. And hiring Brandon, someone experienced from having been a vice chair in a very large county, someone who had seen up close what is required, is easily one of the things that I'm very proud of. If you guys don't know, he has been traveling all over the state the last few months doing trainings for county chairs. And I'm very grateful. Kyle, can you give us a brief update on the 2022 convention selection?
Hello. So I was, hoping that we might be able to come to this meeting here with a final recommendation as far as the convention. We need a little bit more time, but we're hopeful that we're going to get this thing. Not hopeful, we will get this thing wrapped up by December. And as you all know, there's only a few places that we can actually have our convention. So really, we're just focusing on those one or two, or I should say 2 or 3 locations that seem to be on the table, and trying to get everything we can as far as concessions from them and you know, the cost savings, make sure the hotel rooms are there, the space is there. It's looking very likely like it's gonna come down between Dallas and Houston. I know we just came off a very fun and exciting convention in San Antonio. Unfortunately, they do not have the meeting space available this time that we need, and we took up every single meeting room that they had at the San Antonio Convention Center. That would then require us to spread out to the hotels, which, based on what I've heard, is not ideal from those of you who have some experience with that. Speaking of not ideal, they do have dates available for us in Fort Worth. But I've heard loud and clear from many of you your thoughts about that arena and having the convention there. So we've kind of put that one on the back burner. But like I said, we've got some very good proposals coming in from Houston and Dallas. So we're just sort of doing the final work with them to make sure that we can get what we need as far as prices, as far as concessions, hotel rooms, and all that. So we're working with the vendor to get the rest of that work done, and look forward to coming to you in December with a recommendation and a presentation.
Have the dates been set?
Oh, if I was better prepared, I would yes, because each of those have a particular week for us that that works within our schedule. I couldn't tell you the exact days off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I should have that. If you'd like, I can email it. What's that? Yes, correct. Yeah, we have to. Well, no, excuse me. They will be back in June. Yes, yes. We only have to do it in May and presidential years to make sure that we're not endangering our delegation to the national convention. So. Okay, any other questions? Thanks.
Kyle's tenure as executive director started before me. He has done an exceptional job as executive director for the party. The elected officials and their staff, all appreciate working with him. Our staff appreciates working with him, as do I. And one of the greatest signifiers of that was the incredible work that the party did while, as many of you know, I was incapacitated for a couple of weeks in the hospital due to what thankfully is not at all a permanent thing, and it was just a mistake the hospital made that I had to deal with for 2 weeks. But during that time, the party really functioned on smoothly. A lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, but Kyle kept things running very, very well. Please join me in thanking Kyle. Can you put on the screen the folders or the work product of the existing working groups? Okay, SREC members, if you do not already have access to these Google Docs and Drive folders, please contact Joanna Kitchen. She will get you set up with that. In the interest of time, I'm not going to report separately on each of the working groups' activities. The progress of each working group is reflected in the documents. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on their activities. Should those arise, just send me an email or give me a call. Okay, quick housekeeping measure. Rick Figueroa and Tom Roller both had a lot of stuff on their plate and have asked to resign from auxiliaries and coalitions. Same with Dawn McDonald regarding party organization committee. So without objection, we will be removing those three from those two committees and their duties. Seeing no objection, Rick Figueroa and Tom Roller have been relieved of their auxiliaries and coalitions committee duties, and Dawn McDonald has been removed of her party organization committee duties. Okay. Since the state convention, there have been 7 requests for clarification to RPT rules. Only one of them actually dealt with an area of ambiguity that resulted in a clarification to the meaning of organizational meeting under RPT Rule 8. so that it has the same meaning that is used in Robert's Rules of Order. RPT Rule 1F makes the chairman's clarifications binding on all Republicans until the SREC makes final clarification. Under normal circumstances, I would not ask that you provide final clarification unless you wished to amend my clarification. That would allow the SREC some flexibility to deal with specific circumstances in the future as they arise. Unfortunately, we're not under normal circumstances, and this clarification is really at the root of some of the turmoil in Montgomery County. Because of that, I would now recognize a motion to either ratify or amend the clarification that I've given.
Mr. Chairman, JT was ST11, I move to ratify your decision.
Okay, we have a motion to ratify, we have a second. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Yeah, can we put up the clarification?
It's in the on-screen. 1.1.
So the clarification is now up on the screen in front of you. There's a motion to ratify that's been seconded. Scroll down. Actually, Basil's got it.
Go down.
Go down.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Michael Rain, District 26. What was the request for information from the chair by, I'm assuming this was county chair that led to this response? If you could, please.
Yeah, it should be on the screen, actually. There were both the request and the response.
Just have.
Just the response.
At the bottom of that is the request.
The bottom.
There was some Allison Winter and Walter West? Yeah. Okay, so that's that. So that was the request.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Mike McCloskey, Senate District 5. I see that, but still I don't understand what the discrepancy is. To me, organizational meeting is not a terribly confusing thing, so I'm not quite sure what was misunderstood and why we now have the issue that apparently has been before the officials committee. It seems to me this is not very unclear.
That was my reaction as well, that our rules have been consistent as far as organizational meetings. You know, we as an SREC, we have an organizational meeting immediately after convention. As a county chair, we had an organizational meeting every 2 years after everyone new was elected, and it had to happen within a certain number of days after the election, and so on. The actual argument in Montgomery County is between, there was an organizational meeting called in Montgomery County. At that organizational meeting, a majority of the precinct chairs present passed a set of bylaws, and the chair at that meeting ruled that they were passed by majority, as is normal for an organizational meeting, right? In an organizational meeting, you're setting up bylaws for the first time. It only takes a majority to do so. Later, sometime later, after speaking with folks not affiliated to the Republican Party, a public position was taken that that was not in fact an organizational meeting, and that therefore they were not adopting, they were amending bylaws, and as amendments to bylaws, it would require a 2/3 vote, not a majority vote. And therefore, the bylaws that were passed by a majority between 50% and 2/3 were therefore not valid. And there is the core disagreement on which the officials committee this afternoon will start a process to try to evaluate. One of the parties is arguing that an organizational meeting doesn't in fact exist for county parties, and that therefore this doesn't mean what we've said it means.
I don't also see in your response, based upon what you just told me, but maybe the parliamentarian can clarify, but do county party bylaws not expire at the end of each term? You have to adopt bylaws at the beginning of the new term at your first meeting?
Knots in there, so. Yes, they all expire, and yes, you need to adopt new bylaws. Or if you don't have to,
So you can't have amended bylaws if you didn't have bylaws, is my point.
That is a correct statement.
Thank you.
So, because this is a key issue at the root of a significant difference, we have the motion before you to approve this interpretation of our rule, this clarification on our rule. Any further debate on the clarification? Yeah, oh, I was hoping the microphone would be on so that there we go, yeah, so if you would speak right into it.
Got it. Can you hear me now?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, I was wondering, was this sent out to everybody prior to today's meeting? And I don't remember receiving it, which it could have been, but I would just like a clarification on that.
Every parliamentary response and every clarification is always posted in the Google Drive that all of you have access to. We don't send them out separately, but they're all available for review at any time.
Do you not think that maybe that this is obviously a hot topic because we've talked about it before, voted on it, it's come close, that might not have been brought out separately, that would make everybody aware to have a discussion on this, however it turns out, it's fine, but to have a discussion, I'm just wondering if we should maybe postpone. I can't make that motion, I know, but I'm just.
Yeah, I will say that it is my impression that everyone in this room has gotten plenty of information about what's going on in Montgomery County over the last couple weeks.
I am not going to disagree with that. Not at all, because my emails are exploding, but I just didn't see this to have that discussion right now for clarification. That's why I'm asking.
Sure. Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Okay, we have a call for a roll call vote. Have the clickers been distributed? Yes. Clickers have been distributed. Make sure you have yours. Make sure you only have yours. The motion is to ratify the chairman's clarification on this ruling. That's not a ruling. Clarification on this requested clarification for about a potential discrepancy, potential multiple, potential ambiguity in our rule. Yeah, Basil, could you make sure that the clarification is there?
Point of information.
Yes.
Yes, Terry Lee 7. I'm a brand new member, and I don't see that that's a hot topic, but I would like clarification to be able to understand all of the rules, so I don't see why.
Clarification I issue under Rule 1F, that's part of the rule. So this is actually within your purview. And so what the motion is to ratify my clarification. My clarification is, with respect to a county executive committee, an organizational meeting is the first CEC meeting each biennium called in accordance with Rule 8E, at which bylaws are adopted and at which members, precinct chairs and county chair, are sworn in. That's my clarification. That's the motion in front of you. Do you ratify that clarification?
Point of information.
Yes, sir.
Randy Dunning, SD 16. What is the effect, what is the actual effect on of this clarification? What does it actually do at the end of the day? Does it change an outcome of a meeting or an election? Just for the sake of some people's asked.
What you guys ratifying this ends any potential further disagreement about the interpretation of this.
Right, and
That's what it does.
And I'm asking what the effect of the clarification you provided was that we're voting on. What was the effect of that?
The effect of this, if ratified, would be that this would be part of the information being considered by the officials committee in the Rule 8K hearing that will proceed starting at 5 p.m. today.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, who's got the voting computer? All right, Joel's got the voting computer.
We're trying to get it to where we can put it on the screen.
We're working on displaying it on the screen. So give us a second while we work out the first display issue of the day. As we get that all set up properly, then we'll have it for every other vote. So give us just a moment. The vote will happen momentarily as soon as the screens are ready. So stand at ease for just a moment while we get screens ready.
Game time, baby.
Or as far as you need.
Another red one. You see the other red cable down here? In the box over there? Yeah, it's that red and black.
Is it loose?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, sir. All right. You like Austin good to get down?
Yeah. See if we can get it back.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Got it.
There's one.
Something is tweaking. Maybe we got one. Why is that one not working?
Well, we can always do this the old-fashioned way and just.
You might want to take it away from it. Is it the electricity thing that's causing it to jump around?
No, it's just a
Sorry, Kyle.
crappy
Promise I'm
connection
gonna try to hold your
somewhere.
hand here.
Yeah, come on, man.
Somebody must have.
So that's fine.
Well, that's interesting.
Switch it back.
Is it because this is too long? That having a problem?
Okay.
Shouldn't be doing that.
What is there a sharing thing on there?
Oh, we need to reduce the resolution. All right, switch it back.
Oh, that one of all things should be working with that resolution.
Let's just reduce it and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right.
But even that one wasn't popping on.
issues though.
Our first display issue of the day.
So alternative to that.
Just plug it in and take it and plug it directly in.
Nope, not alternative to that.
Alternative
Problem
sucks.
is here.
Well, that'll pop back on, kind of.
Okay.
It's over here. You go to.
All right, we're still at rest, but thank you. One of the SREC members brought to my attention, Madam National Committee Woman, one of the SREC members brought to my attention that this clarification document was emailed to everyone 2 weeks ago.
Yes, she showed that.
There we go.
Right. And I had noted it. Once again, the staff is killer and better than I even knew.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Barker.
Right, I know, but it's not going on that screen and it's flickering on this one.
Let's click in a moment on that screen.
There we go. Better.
Mr. Chairman, Jack Barcroft, SC24, simply for my own education, wanted to get the definition of what a clarification is, because based on what we're looking at, you copied and pasted this rule and email and sent it to them. Is that technically clarification or what?
Yeah, that paragraph that I read off, with respect to a county executive committee, an organization meeting is the first CEC each biennium called in accordance with Rule 80, at which bylaws are adopted, and at which members, including the precinct chairs and county chair, are sworn in. That is the clarification you're backing up.
Game on that one.
There we go.
Hey! There we go. Just close out of that. There we go.
Because everyone has to point their thing to this. So.
Okay, Brandon informs me that the fundraising report by category has already been emailed to all of you. So once again, the staff is killing it. And now the screens are ready to report on your vote. So we are about to begin the vote. And again, the motion for the vote is to ratify my clarification on this rule per 1F as I just read off the clarification in answer to Mr. Barcroft's question. Joel has the computer on which you need to point your clicker, right? Don't point them at screens, point them at Joel's computer. And we will, yeah, and we will open the voting now. Yeah, 1 is yes, 2 is no. Not working. Don't worry, we won't close voting until we get it working.
I just need a longer cord to plug into here because it just died. And for some reason, this isn't working.
This is not working.
That is fine. That's
Okay.
because this isn't working.
I've never seen this before where it gives me the no, something isn't working.
It's not getting a signal? Unplug this and replug it in.
No one's coming in, no.
Nothing's coming in.
The thing is saying it's not transmitting.
Pull the receiver and let's plug it back in.
No?
It's not transmitting, is what they're saying. One problem.
Yeah, we'll get through this one first. Go ahead and, I think, pull this receiver out and, yeah, pull it all the way out. And let's plug
Okay,
it back
so we are gonna need the clickers working this afternoon, because this afternoon we're gonna have a lot of individual rules votes undoubtedly. And so the electronic voting will be critical for speed for then. But given that this is that until then, which will be after lunch, we just have this one vote. And it's a pretty straightforward yes or no vote, and there's no other vote that will be roll call before lunch. There's a suggestion to go ahead and skip the clickers for now, just do an old-fashioned roll call vote. If you are okay with that, then that is what we will do right now.
May we suggest we just postpone the vote until after lunch?
I'd rather not, but thank you. Okay, so with that in mind, we'll go ahead with the secretary. We'll call the roll call vote.
I can shut it down and open back up. Installed?
All right, again, if I butcher your name, I'm sorry. SD1, Robert Kessick. Sue Evenwell. Yes. SD2, Jason Ross. Yes. Jerry Fisher. Yes. SD3, Terry Holcomb. Yes. Judy Pareda. Yes. SD4, Allison Winter. Yes. Walter West.
Yes.
SD5, Nita Davidson. Yes. Michael McCloskey.
Yes.
SD6, Chris McDonald.
Yes.
Don McDonald.
Yes.
SD7, Mark Ramsey.
Yes.
Terry Leo.
So I did,
SD8, Susan Fisher.
yeah.
Chuck Branch.
Yes.
SD9, Steve Atwell.
Yes.
Ann Gebhardt.
Yes.
SD10, Warren Norad.
Yes.
Susan Wright.
Yes.
SD11, JT Edwards.
Aye.
Tanya Robertson. SD12, David Halverson.
Yes.
Debbie Terry.
Yes.
SD13, Don Elliott.
Yes.
Roy Morales.
Yes.
SD14, Jan Duncan.
Yes.
Fernando Trevino.
Yes.
SD15, Virgil Cruz.
Yes.
Gail Stanner.
Yes.
SD16, Randall Dunning.
Yes.
Susan Fountain.
Yes.
SD17, Marvin Cleave.
Yes.
Kathleen Wall.
Yes.
No, it's.
SD18, Rick Figueroa.
Yes.
Edie Sinclair.
Yes.
SD19, Marion Knowlton.
Yes.
Robert Cassius.
Yes.
Right channel?
SD20, Sam Dalton. Hannah Chipman. SD21, I didn't expect that. SD21, Terry Harper. Carla Sisk. SD22, Ashley Sellers. Could you speak up? Yes, okay. Sam Tripp Bryant. SD23, Stephen Roden.
What frequency are you?
Leslie Thomas.
Yeah, see those channels.
SD24, Jack Barcroft.
The thing's saying it's on,
Summer
trying to
Wise.
hit channel 41. Are we on channel 41?
SD23, Mark Carrazio.
Yes.
Linda Kenny. SD26, Michael Rain.
Yes.
Marion Stenko. SD27, Morgan Graham. James Zavaleta.
Yes.
SD28, Drew Bullard.
Yes.
Neva Haney.
It's still giving me the circle bar
SD29,
sensor,
Mark
which means
Dunham.
it's not talking to the.
Barbara Carrasco.
Yes.
SD30, Brenton Brooks.
Yes.
Dion Starnes. SD31, Rhonda Lacey. Tom Roller.
Yes.
If you want to take
Vice
a
Chair
video
Palmer
of
Jackson.
what you're seeing on the display to show who you're talking to.
That's,
Yeah, actually,
Yeah,
there's no name.
get ready.
It's unanimous.
Close in so you can see the display.
Okay, the affirmation of the clarification is unanimous. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Michael Clausen, said District 5.
Yes.
Just a point of inquiry, at the beginning of the meeting, you declared there were 64 members and 61 were present, but I didn't hear any non-votes.
It's been changed.
Oh, it's now been changed. We now have a full 64 contingent,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
which, yay. Congratulations, you guys. Thank you for making sure to be here and or send a proxy.
Hey, it's probably transition back
Okay.
to the computer. Take that, put it back in that computer.
That concludes my report and leads us to the election of the officials committee members. So, let me pull up the right spot on that. Okay, pursuant to the SREC bylaws, we will elect 5 SREC members to serve on the officials committee. We will take nominations. Those nominated will draw lots for speaking order. Each nominee will be allowed a total of 5 minutes to use as they wish. After all nominees have used their time, we will move to election by secret ballot. Each of you will vote for 5 nominees, or 5 candidates. And the top 5 vote getters will be declared elected, provided each of them received a majority of those ballots cast. If all of the spots are not filled, or if there is a tie between the 5th and subsequent vote getters, we will proceed to a runoff secret ballot with no additional time for speeches. I want to remind you that among the duties of the officials committee is to transact business necessary between the meetings of the SREC. I intend to have our standing and special committees report to the officials committee in between SREC meetings so that prompt action, when necessary, can be taken. The floor is now open for nominations to membership in the officials committee.
Rhonda Lacey, SD 31. I would like to place into nomination Mark Dunham, SD 29.
Thank you. I'm going to alternate between microphones.
Is that right? SD 22, I nominate Terry Owen.
Thank you very much. Let's give the secretary a moment to make sure he's got that. Excellent.
Randall Dunning, SD 16. I nominate Mark Ramsey of SD 7.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Karen Steinfeld, District 26. I rise to nominate Linda Kenny, District 25.
Thank you.
Marvin Cleed, SD 17. I'd like to nominate David Halverson, Senate District 12.
Thank you.
Sherry Fisher.
Sorry. Wait till I recognize you. I was giving the secretary a second. Okay. Now.
Sherry Fisher, SB2. I proudly nominate Jason Ross, SB2.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Marion Knowlton, SD 19. I hereby nominate Tanya Robertson, SD 11.
Thank you.
Debbie Terry, SD 12. It's an honor to nominate Sue Evenwell, SD 20.
Thank you.
Chris McDonald, SD6, I rise in nomination of Mark Durazio, Senate District 25.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further nominations, if those nominated would come up or send up a representative, we will draw numbers for order of speech.
Bingo.
There we are. We got it fixed. Yeah, cause see, see when you vote, it says 1A, and you get the. So what was the problem?
You know, I guess this is what I don't know. To be honest, I don't know.
So how you just poked around?
Yeah,
until
I poked around. Yeah. So
okay,
got
good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Chairman. It's all good now.
You got this?
Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
The trick is if you push a button, there's a certain if you push a button, you get the little thing that says like absolute strength, like if you use it strength on your phone, and then you see the selection and it's one side is legal. That's what it is.
Did you want to switch back or?
We will when they vote again.
Okay.
Just a minute. So what was the problem?
You know, I don't know. I just had to go back to remember what Spencer told me. It's a very slow computer.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
When I push something, it'll react pretty slow, and so I have to just remember that when I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It's delayed a little bit, so yeah.
That's the problem. You know, these computers are solid, but they are just a little slow. Come on, baby. Come on. Yes, there we go. Okay, we're back in business.
Huh?
Back in business.
Nice.
So again, each nominee gets 5 minutes total to divide up any way they want between nominators, themselves, whatever. We are going to be keeping time on them. And once those speeches are over, you each are going to write down the 5 names of those you want to vote for on a slip of paper, and then we will take some time to tally up every name from every slip of paper.
Oh yeah.
Just to come up with which 5 win.
Mr. Chairman, Michael Rain, Senate District 26. That brings up a very good question that I'd like to ask regarding the 5 votes. Must we actually cast 5 votes? Can we cast less?
For real.
Okay, and we will, before the, we got the names.
In order. The names are in order.
The names are up here in the order that they are going to be doing their nominating speeches. And we're putting the full name up there because, in case you didn't catch it, we have 3 marks running for, among other things, for the 5 spots. And we even have 2 marked Ds running for 2 of the 5 spots. So,
completion of features. Now it's distribution. Now we're at completion of features. Do we actually have ballots for distributed? Yes. Distributed now? Yeah. Well, no, not printed names. Just one piece of paper that they write the names on.
Yeah, feel free to start this. So the staff is going to go ahead and start distributing the blank pieces of paper on which you later will write your votes, just so that we don't waste any time waiting for that to happen later. All right, Mrs. Kinney, you are first up. We have 5 minutes each. For 9 candidates, it's going to take 45 minutes plus a little change. Please give the candidates and/or any of their other speakers your entire attention during their precious 5 minutes. Okay. And I will start Mrs. Kinney's timer now.
Okay, well, my name is Linda Kinney, and I'm from Senate District 25. It's Donna Campbell's district. And I went to work right away. That was, one of the normal things back then. I became a state employee. I worked for the state for 27 years, retiring in 2002. After that, I really got into working with the Republican Party. We moved from Austin. We lived in South Austin. I married a South Austin person, and the last name Kinney is from South Austin in the Kinney Avenue area. But we moved to Dripping Springs, and that's where I really got into politics, just because I was so tired of the liberal attitude that everyone has in Austin. And so we moved to Dripping Springs. It was very blue at that time in Hays County. We only had one elected Republican official, and I was bound and determined to make a change. So I started working with the Republican Party, started getting active, getting other people active. We now hold every countywide elected office in Hays County as a Republican Party. And we hope to continue to do that. We've just got a couple of JPs and a constable that is a Democrat. But I've been working really hard trying to change that. I also sit on the Texas Automobile Burglary and Theft Prevention Authority. I was appointed in 2008 by Governor Perry to that. We manage a $14 million budget, and I'm very used to having to tighten the belt on that, because just like any other state agency, every year our budget gets cut. We're asked to reduce by 5% or reduce by 10%. It's really hard to start reducing, especially when it comes to auto theft and burglary. It's a very rampant thing in the state of Texas it's not just auto theft or auto burglary. It is part of a bigger crime that usually is committed in conjunction with the theft of the automobile. Anyway, I'm used to managing those budgets for them. I raised 2 daughters, sent them to college. My husband and I have always had the attitude of, if you can't afford the chair, you sit on an apple crate till you can. And that's what we need to do. We need to live within our means, and I think that when we set our budgets for the Republican Party,
a Republican public officials is her first priority. She always has, and she always will. I know that she has the integrity needed to serve on an official committee. I ask you to appoint her to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I also brought this up because I wanted to say that, although we individually we carried labels with us, the only label that really counts is the one whenever you check all of these boxes in the red and you say that you're a Republican. That's what counts. It's not a matter of if you're a Republican enough. you are a Republican, and that's what counts. But I would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
And that's 5 minutes, and now, Mr. Howerson.
Hi there, I'm Marvin Cleed, Senate District 17 in Houston. I've come to know David over the last 6 years since I've been on the SREC, gotten to know him quite well, and have served with him on the Resolutions Committee, as well as the last term with the Grassroots Club Committee, and have come to appreciate all of his efforts, many of which are summarized on the orange sheet that you have. You note that he's been our Sergeant at Arms at 3 different state conventions, served as well there. I also want to emphasize the Grassroots Club, which, as you know, was started by Chairman Munisteri, but during the last term, as our state chair noted, we've grown from 850 to 1,600 in that committee. A lot of that's been due to David's work as chairman of the committee, increasing the profile, working on a video, getting things out to where we can grow that very vital source of revenue. David is dedicated to the party. He's got the heart of a pastor, as you notice, which is carried over to supporting the key parts of our platform, pro-life, pro-family, and other issues. So I'd highly encourage you to vote David onto the officials committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin. As a pastor, I'll start out with scripture. 1 Corinthians 4:2 said it's required of a servant that he be found faithful. And I think that applies to every one of us here. The reason I became a member of the SREC to begin with was the issue of religious liberty, because every church should be free. In Article 1:6 of the state constitution, which is the Bill of Rights, Article 1 is the Bill of Rights, the first thing in the state of Texas Constitution. It says it is every man is able to worship God according to the dictates of his own conscience. That was one of the very first things and one of the very first protections that we had. And that's why we're here. That's why every one of us is here, is because we have the freedom to worship God according to the dictates of our own conscience. We have freedom to do business. We have freedom to walk in liberty and do the things which God has put in our hands to do. So, again, I've served since 2010. Took a break in 2012 unintentionally, but came back and was reelected in 2014. So this is essentially my 4th term. So I believe I have the experience on the SREC and the temperament to work with everybody in this room. I believe we need to work together with temerity. We need to work together in a way that we can come back to the next meeting and work with one another again if we disagree on one thing or another. I'm very thankful for all the relationships that we have. I'm thankful for all the new members that we have. And I would just ask for your confidence and your vote, those of you who know me, and those of you who are sitting next to somebody who does know me. And I would ask for your vote for the officials committee. Thank you very much.
Over 2 weeks ago, my daughter graduated from Marine boot camp. When we asked her why she enlisted, she said because she felt called by God to serve our country. She wrote a blank check to protect all of us. And I felt the very least I could do was step up my game. So with that said, this election is not a popularity contest. This election is not about what faction or group of friends you relate to. And this election should not be about rubber stamping what the administration's desires are. It is all about qualifications, integrity, principles, values, and courage. And you may ask, why courage, Tanya? Because that's what it takes to speak up when you think something isn't right, especially when it's not popular. And to those of you that know me, you know I have no problem doing that. I've sent out a couple of emails with links to my website that had the whole laundry list of my qualifications politically and professionally, but I'm going to hit on a couple of highlights. One is I've had over 20 years experience in retail and optical management. Along with that, I was in the marketing and inventory control, and I was a small business owner up until Obama and Hurricane Ike. And I dealt with contracts on almost a daily basis. And also, I'm a mom. I've been a mom for over 30 years. So we deal with budgets and schedules and all that good stuff. So, you know, check that box. Let's face it, we all have a common goal. And that is to bring integrity to the officials committee and no monkey business. Right? Please elect me, Tanya Robertson, for your officials committee member.
I rise to speak in support of Tanya. I came to know Tanya back in 2010 when Donna and I got active in politics. She was very active in the Clear Lake Tea Party. I was blessed to get to serve with her on the SREC starting in 2014. And over that time, I've observed Tanya to make good, solid, and well thought out decisions. I further observed her to be a tireless worker in support of liberty and in support of the goals and values of the Republican Party of Texas. She's a talented teacher as well. She goes all about the 3 counties of her SD, ensuring that people know how to get out and vote, understands the issues, and can further educate others. She has taken her little light and lit many other candles throughout SD 11. I trust her judgment here on officials, and I hope that you'll support her as well.
We have a lot of people to choose from when we talk about the category I'm getting ready to tell you about. But when I think about people who reflect the heart and soul of the Republican Party, 2 people come to mind. One of them is our former Vice Chairman, Amy Clark, and the other one is Tanya Robertson. These are women who are very much on the front lines of fighting the good fight for faith in Texas and America. When we launched the Texas Legislative Prayer Caucus at the beginning of last session, there was no greater frontline defender and advocate than Tanya Robertson. And if you were here at the last SREC meeting, you may remember that it was dear Tanya Robertson, God bless her heart, who volunteered the 2 of us to do the work of the religious liberty priority, even though we were not on the committee. And that speaks volumes about this lady. She is not looking for the recognition or the credit. She just does the hard work with passion and compassion, and she gets the job done. Tanya will not only bring wisdom and creativity and seriousness and conviction and passion to this job, she will also bring joy. And I think about Psalm 2 that talks about the nations that are raging and the people devising a vain thing against the Lord and his anointed. And he sits on the throne and laughs because he knows he's got it all under control. Tanya will seek God for wisdom. She will walk in his ways. She'll do it with a joyful heart, and we'll be glad to have her represent us.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the hardest working women I know, not only in my city district of Texas, vote for Tanya. Thank you very much.
I'm Rhonda Lacey, SD 31. I'm here in support of Mark Dunham. If you want good common sense, level head, a desire for transparency, and ability to understand, then you want to put Mark Dunham on our officials committee.